The break of dawn approaches as your heavy eyelids begin to lift. For a few minutes, you lay under the warmth of your blanket, not wanting your body to be subjected to the cold without being mentally prepared. After a short moment, you quickly jump out of the bed, allowing the cold rush to hit you. Your body gives off a quick shiver, leaving you chattering your teeth like a crazed chipmunk. Making your way for the bathroom, you start up the shower as you brush your teeth. After spitting the last swish of soapy water, you jump into the blazing hot water. For a moment it burns as it touches your skin, but soon leaves a soothing sensation all around your body. Standing under the shower head, you lean one arm against the wall to try and remember today's agenda. Rarity stated that she would need your help today since she would be extremely busy with the photo shoot coming up so soon. The cakes also needed an extra helper for deliveries since they would be swamped with making an experimental cake, whatever that meant. Grabbing the shampoo bottle, you lather up and clean your hair thoroughly, making sure to catch each root. Looking up to the ceiling, you rinse the soap and think about what you would do tonight after work. There was only one thing you ever did, really, and that was go to the bar. Roughly sighing, you finish your shower routine and shut off the water. As quickly as possible, you grab your towel, dry yourself off, and get dressed before the cold can get to you. Grabbing a piece of toast for the road, you begin your venture to Rarity's boutique. The bright sun almost blinds you as you open the door, making you want to go back inside. Blocking out the sun with your hand, you take the usual path to the market section of town. The ponies begin their usual morning routines like opening their stores or taking their children to school before heading to work themselves. A few say their hellos and good mornings as they pass you, a majority of them being ones that you've worked for doing odd jobs. You would call them acquaintances more than friends, but if one were to ask you to have a drink with them, you wouldn't say no. Your attention is brought to the giant carousel-like building now in front of you. Raising your hand, you give 3 short knocks, making sure to not hit too hard. Every time you hit too hard, Rarity would go on for hours on end about how obnoxious and ungentle colt-like it was.
I'll be open in a few minutes,
you hear from the other side of the door. You look down at your watch and check the time. 7:56 a.m. Rolling your eyes, you let out an annoyed sigh.
Rarity, it's me, Anonymous.
After a short moment of silence, the locks begin to click as they turn and retract from the door. The door cracks open as Rarity pokes her head out and looks at you before fully opening it. Her mane is a complete mess and bags have developed under her eyes. By the look of it, she has yet to sleep. She motions for you to come in and quickly closes the door behind you. She makes her way to a sewing machine and lets out a sigh of relief.
Thank goodness that you're here. I'm completely swamped with all of this work, and I haven't even opened the shop yet.
She levitates a list and a bag of bits to you as she continues working on a dress.
That's a list of supplies I need. If you could, please be quick. I need to finish one of my dresses before noon, and I can't do it without them.
She uses her magic to give you the bag of bits and waves you off. You give her a nod and make your way for the door, looking down at your watch. It shouldn't take more than an hour or two to get everything done and come back. Heading back out into the busy street, you make your way towards the marketplace. The list itself consisted of simple items, fabrics, threads, tools, and a little note at the bottom that catches your eye. In big, bold red ink marked the words, "Thank you for your help" at the bottom. You can't help but crack a smile as you walk to the first stand where a stallion greets you. Opening the door to the boutique, you take a moment before entering and listen.
Dear, listen to me. It's fine. I have no problems making you a dress. You have 3 months before you'll need it, so I will definitely have it ready by then.
I just don't want you to overwork, Rarity, that's all.
Your ears perk up at the sound of this new voice. It has a familiar tone and makes your heart jump a bit. It's then that you realize you're standing at the doorway like an imbecile, possibly because of the ponies passing by giving you strange stares. Items in hand, you enter the shop and clear your throat.
Rarity, I have the items you asked for.
You round the corner and lock eyes with a familiar stare. The same mulberry eyes from the night before meet your gaze. It was the same mare sitting at the table with Rarity beside her. Rarity looks back and forth between you two, noticing the tension that held between you both. She clears her throat to break the awkward silence that hangs in the room.
So, Anonymous, did you get everything?
Turning your head, you look at Rarity and break from the stare down. Handing her the bag of goods, you give a single nod.
Yeah, I even found the shade of red you like for the 1 roll of cloth you requested.
A small smile breaks out on her face as she picks up said cloth.
Oh, Anonymous, you're such a doll. Oh, before I forget, here you go.
She uses her magic to levitate a small sack of money in front of you. Grabbing your pay, you mutter a small
Thank you.
and begin heading out. As you make your way out, you can feel the gaze of the mare on your back the entire time. Closing the door behind you, you look down at your watch and check the time once more. 10:36 a.m. You had about an hour and a half before you needed to be at Sugar Cube Corner to help out the cakes. Maybe it was best to check in with Twilight. Walking down the dirt road, you look around at the ponies passing by. So many of them seem to not have a care in the world. What was it that made them stay so happy? You'd give anything to have a genuine smile on your face again. Giving your head a small shake, you bring yourself back to Equestria. You stand before the massive tree brary and open the door. And as you enter, Twilight looks up from her reading material and gives you a wide smile.
Oh, hi, Anon.
She exclaims, closing her book with a solid thud.
How are you doing today?
Shrugging your shoulders, you let out a disgruntled sigh and shake your head.
It's just another day to me. How are you doing? Any good news yet?
Her smile quickly disappears as she turns her head towards the window with a look of disappointment on her face. You walk up to her and place your hand on her head with a smile on your face.
It's all right, Twilight. If anything, I want you to know how grateful I am that you've been taking the time to help me out.
Her smile reappears, bigger than before.
Well, on a different note, do you have any new books to read? I have about an hour before I head to Sugar Cube Corner.
Her eyes light up as she runs over to the shelves, grabbing a book with her magical aura. You read the title as it hovers in front of you.
The Legend of Gloomwing?
You read aloud, scratching your head. Twilight nods as you grab the book and flip through the pages.
It's a pretty good story, but the author left it on a cliffhanger and hasn't made a sequel in a while. It's really disappointing when an author takes so long to put out another book. You never know if they dropped it or not.
Before you know it, an hour has passed since you began reading the book. Putting it back on the shelf, you thank Twilight for her help and head out back into the street. Sugar Cube Corner isn't too far from the treeberry, so it's quite a short walk. Opening the door, you head to the counter where an overly enthusiastic Pinkie Pie stands, cleaning the counter with a cloth.
Hi, Anon. Are you ready to run the delivery lines?
Giving her a nod, you follow her to the kitchen where several boxes sit on the counter. Grabbing the rucksack that hangs on the wall, you turn to Pinkie, who instructs you on what goes to who.
The tarts are for Berry Punch, the cupcakes go to Cheerily, and the pie...
She wraps her tongue around the pan of the pie and eats the pie in one fell swoop, making sure to spit out the pan.
goes to me!
Pinkie begins her spurt of laughter and snorts as you roll your eyes and pack the items into your rucksack. As you make your way out the store, Pinkie screams something about blueberry pie. You don't know, you stopped listening after she gave you the delivery instructions. You follow the old brick road down into town square, where Berry Punch lives. Her house is conveniently placed next to the door of the bar, something you noticed the day you came into this town. Berry is the town drunk. Anytime you caught her sober was probably a sign that something bad was going to happen that day. Giving the door a raspy knock, you wait for a few minutes before the door slowly opens. Berry covers her face with a hoof, trying her best to block out the sun.
What is it?
She slurs. Yep, it was clear she was drunk out of her mind again. Pulling the package out of your rucksack, you hand her the tarts.
I didn't ask for this,
She says with a sinister glare. You let out an annoyed sigh and point at the note on top of it.
Yes, you did. You told Pinkie to write a note on top of the package to tell your drunk self that you needed these tarts. You're just too drunk to remember.
Her glare changes from mad to confused and back. She gives off a loud scoff and rolls her eyes.
I may be drunk, but in a couple of hours, I'll be sober, and you'll still be ugly.
She sticks her tongue out at you and slams the door in your face.
What a bitch.
You mutter to yourself, making your way to the next delivery. Taking the brick road again, you follow it to the outskirts of town where a small schoolhouse lays in a big open field. The fillies and colts playing in the yard catch sight of you as you pass by and begin shouting your name.
Anon! Hey! Anon!
You stop and kneel down as they all begin surrounding you.
Are those the cupcakes that Cheerily ordered for us?
Giving them a nod, they all begin cheering.
All right! Say, why don't you leave the cupcakes with us? We'll be sure to give them to Cheerily.
They say, giving off a small snicker to each other. You give them a small smirk as you shake your head.
Nice try, little ones.
You say, standing back up.
I was ordered to give these directly to Cheerily.
They all let out a simultaneous groan as you chuckle to yourself. You head towards the front door as the children go back to their business. A familiar voice inside stops your hand right before you knock.
It's no problem at all, Cheerily. I would love to show the children the wonders of music.
What's that mare doing here? Is she following you around?
Well, I don't want to impose on you, but if you're certain that you can do it, by all means. I welcome you to come by any time and play for the children. Who knows? It might help a few of them find their cutie marks.
Says Cheerily, giving a soft giggle to her own statement. Your neck begins to give off a burning feeling, almost as if you're being watched. You look over your shoulder where 2 mares look at you suspiciously. It was kind of weird just standing there eavesdropping in front of a school. You give a quick knock on the door and open it up.
Miss Cheerily, I have a delivery for you.
Oh, Anon, please come in.
You lock your gaze with the infamous pair of mulberry eyes almost instantly and stop at the entrance. Cheerily extends her foreleg out and points to the mare.
Anon, have you met Octavia before?
You don't dare break eye contact with her as you shake your head.
We've met before, though not formally.
Target still locked? You walk up to the mare and extend your hand out for a shake.
My name's Anonymous. Charmed to meet you.
She puts her hoof into your grasp and shakes, still staring you down.
Octavia, a pleasure.
You let go of her hoof and turn to Cheerily, digging into the rucksack.
I have the cupcakes you ordered.
You say, placing the small parcel on the desk.
All right, I should get back to Sugar Cube Corner.
You turn to Octavia and give her a small nod.
It was nice meeting you.
The burning sensation of watching eyes lingers on your back as you leave the school's house. Once again, you begin following the brick road, almost as if it's a ritual. The children wave you off as you pass, saying their goodbyes for the day. You wave back at them and make your way for the pastry shop. As you enter town, a small but rather noticeable noise catches your ears. It sounds like a throat clearing. Turning your head, you lay your eyes on none other than Octavia behind you. She gives you an annoyed glare that you ignore, continuing to walk. Keeping up with your pace, she walks alongside you.
So why are you following me around today?
She asks, continuing her stare down. You give her a contentious sneer and scoff at her remark.
I've been following you? Don't flatter yourself. I've been working all day and you just conveniently seem to show up everywhere I go.
You pick up the pace, trying to leave her behind. She merely increases her speed and keeps alongside you.
It's plainly obvious that you have a general interest in me. You buy me a drink, you show up everywhere I am the next day. The signs are obvious.
You roll your eyes and let out an annoyed sigh.
Okay, listen. I gave you that drink because it was obvious you had writer's block, hence what I said after I gave you the drink. I presume after that drink you were able to finish your work?
A light blush forms on her cheeks as she mutters a low.
Yes.
Good. That's all there was to it. Nothing more, nothing less. I was just helping you musician to musician.
Looking up from the mare, you notice that you've made it to your destination. Opening the door to the shop, you walk to the counter and ring the bell. Pinky comes from the kitchen wearing an apron covered in frosting and flour.
Done already, Anon?
Giving her a small nod, you hand her the rucksack. She looks behind you and giggles. Taking a quick glance, you notice Octavia standing in the doorway glaring daggers at you. You turn back to Pinky with a furrowed brow, wondering what her laughter is all about. Pinky beckons you with a hoof and whispers into your ear as you come close.
She was asking where you were earlier. Some pony's got an admirer.
Pinky breaks out into a surreal fit of laughter, falling to the floor. Should have guessed. It was too coincidental that she would show up where you were headed next. Pinky lifts herself up, letting whatever giggles she has residing in her go, and hands you a bag of bits.
Thanks for your help, Anon.
Giving her a nod, you head towards the door where a distraught Octavia stands. You walk around her and head towards home. She reclaims her spot next to you as you walk along the same brick road that pretty much runs your life.
What do you mean, musician to musician?
Why was she still following you?
As in, I've played an instrument, I've written music, and I've been in your shoes, or whatever expression you guys call it.
You increase your walking speed, bringing yourself to a power walk. She keeps a steady pace with you, still pestering you with questions.
What instrument did you play?
Saxophone.
How long did you play for?
Since I was a child.
More and more. She continues to throw tedious questions at you, only to increase your aggravation and speed. At this point, ponies are beginning to stare at the two of you, as you're now jogging in the middle of the street.
Do you still play?
Nah, I don't have a saxophone or the money for one.
She gives off a grunt, mocking your answer.
You don't have the money, yet you were drinking Regal Royal Sweet last night.
You stop dead in your tracks, mainly because you've reached your destination. Looking down at her with an irritated expression, you rub your face out of frustration.
I didn't pay for it. The barkeep gave me a glass to help calm me down. You see, I didn't ask to be dropped here in this world. I kind of got thrown in here against my will. He saw that I had troubles and was willing to help me out. A true bartender knows what someone needs when they're down and will listen to their problems. Maybe if you didn't make assumptions.
You realize you're yelling at this point as Octavia backs up, ears tilted back. You slap yourself for your arrogance. She just wanted to know you better, and you were making this into something that it didn't need to be.
I'm sorry. I've just been really frustrated lately. I didn't mean to take it out on you.
She scratches at her foreleg nervously and bows her head.
No, I should apologize for pestering you. It's none of my business.
She looks back up with a small smile on her face.
I want to thank you for the drink last night. Might I see you at the bar tonight for a drink?
It wasn't like you weren't going to be there. You went almost every night.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I'll meet you there at 7 then.
She says, trying to make it sound as casual as possible. The shake in her voice didn't really make it convincing. A smirk creeps onto your face as she leaves your property. You head into your home and empty the contents from your pockets on top of the living room coffee table. Making your way into the kitchen, you open the fridge and pour yourself a glass of cider. Looking into the brown liquid, you try to process your thoughts. There was someone here who had a general interest in you and your passion, and all you were doing was pushing them away. Maybe this is why you always felt so empty on the inside. Maybe this mare was the one thing you needed in your life. Someone you could consider a friend. Maybe something more than that. After downing the drink, you look up from your cup at the clock. 4:34 p.m. It was best to get ready for this rendezvous. It never hurt anyone to be prepared early. Heading into the bathroom, you turn on the shower and jump in. The cold water causes your skin to form goosebumps all over your body. It feels good, though, to wash away all the grime and sweat from the day's chores. After a bit of washing, you rinse yourself off and exit the shower. Grabbing the towel from the rack, you dry yourself off, get dressed, and make your way to the bedroom. Looking around the room, you sigh and shake your head. Back in your apartment on Earth, this place would be riddled with sheet music and instruments. You tried to get back into music, but just couldn't find the will to do so. It just wasn't the same. You didn't have that spark that pushed you to play music before. Standing from the bedside, you look outside as the orange sun settles over a hillside. Reaching into your nightstand, you pull out a book and start reading. For the next hour, it's just you two. When you finish, it's almost time to head to the bar to meet Octavia. After a last-minute shave and cologne splash, you make your way to the bar. It's exactly as you left it the night before. Dim lighting, the same crowd, and your good friend is behind the counter. A grin crawls its way onto his face the instant you take a seat on the stool.
Hey, Anon, the usual?
You give him a nod as he grabs a rock glass and a bottle of whiskey. After pouring a glass of the bitter liquid, he levitates the cup to you and leans against the counter in front of you.
How's it going?
It goes.
You grunt, giving him a shrug.
Something's bothering you. Something big.
You give him a chuckle.
Never did I think the day would come when I was the one in this chair, explaining myself to someone else.
He smiles and puts a hoof on your shoulder.
Listen, one day we're gonna have switch spots, and I'll need your advice. But for now, it's time I helped you out.
You guzzle down the drink and take a breath.
I was running my usual assortment of odd jobs. However, every time I would reach a destination, that pony from last night would be there.
You begin to stir the ice inside your cup.
I find her interesting and all, but I have the fear that if I keep someone close to me, I'll just lose them again.
Pulling your finger out, you wipe it on a napkin.
I don't want to lose everything again. So that's why I pushed her back the way I did.
He closes his eyes and hums. You used to do the same thing. It's the process of problem solving. Processing all the possibilities, the consequences, figuring out the best outcome. His eyes shoot open.
No matter what you do, you're going to get hurt. Either you live a miserable, secluded life, or you spend a small time of happiness with some pony.
You jerk your head back and give him a puzzled look.
You both like music. She's willing to put up with your ways. It's plainly obvious that she likes you. Sounds like the perfect mate for you.
Looking down into your empty cup, you begin to think, maybe he's right. Maybe it was time you found someone to spend your time with. His attention quickly shifts over to your side, where you feel the presence of another. Some pony sits down on the stool next to you and places a folder down on the counter.
Glass of bourbon on the rocks, please.
You take a sip of your poison, letting the burning sensation travel down to your belly, and look to your side. Octavia sits beside you, pulling music sheets out from the folder.
Good evening, Anonymous.
You place the glass down and clear your throat.
Evening. What you got there?
She pushes a pile of sheets in front of you and leans over, pressing her hoof against the page.
I wanted you to take a quick look at my material and let me know what you think.
Grabbing the sheets, you scan through the pages and immediately notice something.
The tempo here changes completely. What made you do that?
She begins to blush, covering the part up with her hoof.
No real reason. I wanted you to actually look over this part in particular.
She flips the pages over to a different page and points it out. Looking over the page, you see that a new glass has appeared in front of you. Its familiar fragrance enters your nostrils. You look down at the bar and see the bartender placing the golden bottle back on the shelf. Giving him a nod, you mouth a thank you. He merely turns away and begins to converse with another customer. Taking a sip, you indulge in the fine liquid. Your body warms up and you feel something, as if your troubles are gone. Octavia watches as a smile creeps its way onto your face and follows in turn.
It's really that good, is it?
Placing the cup down, you look up to the ceiling.
Everyone has their drink. Their drink is determined by who they are, where they come from, how they live. You are born with your drink, much like your soul.
Her eyes shine hearing your wisdom. You glance over at her and chuckle.
Sound like a cheesy poet, don't I?
She shakes her head in disagreement.
That came from the heart. I felt the meaning in those words. You really like to drink, don't you?
You take another sip from your cup and gently place it on the counter.
Drink? In a way. I used to be a bartender. There are rules, ethics, and conditions, but in the end, you're not only a supplier of a drink.
You peer down into the cup.
You're a problem solver, a psychiatrist, a friend. Someone who knows the person at your counter better than they know themselves.
Finishing off the glass, you let out a content sigh and look over as she finishes her drink.
You know about me. Now what about you?
She lowers her eyes to her now finished glass and sighs.
I live a life most would find boring. I play the cello, both solo and in an orchestra. I love to cook, and sometimes I go to the bar to get away from all the noise.
You place your hand on her withers and she looks up at you.
Nothing in life is boring. Somewhere out there, someone wishes they were you right now.
She emits a smile so radiant that it rivals the sun itself. For the next few hours, you do nothing but spend your time sipping on whiskey and talking with Octavia. Surprisingly, it's rather enjoyable. After a few glasses of the good stuff, you pay your tab and lift yourself from your chair, taking in your surroundings. You begin to feel the buzz a bit more than you did while sitting down, but you're still good to walk home. Octavia, on the other hand, stumbles as she drops down from her stool, trying to position herself in an upright stance. She giggles as her rosy cheeks spread from her devilish grin. She tries her hardest to hold herself up, but quickly fails to do so.
Here, let me help you out.
You bend down and pick her up, placing her on your back and walk out to the moonlit streets. The moon is extra bright tonight, and not a bit of darkness distorts your vision.
It's almost as if it were daytime again.
She murmurs, gazing up at the moon. Giving a simple nod, you look to the sky. The stars are much more abundant tonight than usual. After getting lost for 20 minutes thanks to your drunk navigator, you finally reach Octavia's home.
Well, we made it safe and sound. Hope you enjoyed yourself tonight.
You place her down on the ground where she stumbles to keep herself up.
Of course, I had a wonderful time.
She slurs. She really isn't one for containing alcohol. Getting down on one knee, you give her a hug. She awkwardly attempts to return it, but accidentally hits your head with her hoof.
I'm so sorry. You're not hurt, are you?
You rub your head and break into laughter. Being how contagious it is, Octavia finds herself laughing as well. After the giggles have left your system, you get up and wish her a good night before leaving. Making your way home, you look up to the moon. For the first time ever, you didn't feel the heart-tearing pain you did before.
Guess the saying's true. Home is where you make it.